Welcome to the Poets in the Library series. This is the second in the series, and we are here at the Lomas Tramway Library today. My name is Mary Oishi. I'm the Poet Laureate of Albuquerque, and I am happy to introduce our featured poet. He is someone who lives in the vicinity of the Lomas Tramway Library. Charles Powell is a father, grandfather, Air Force veteran, and retired postal worker who has lived in Albuquerque over 34 years. With a BS in social science, he was a social worker, child care supervisor, personnel representative, and veteran service officer. He has composed nonfiction for letters to the editor, newsletters, etc. He also collected notes and ideas that he has begun to turn into memoir through short stories and essays. When readers referred to some of his work as poetic, Charles turned his attention to writing in that genre. He has enjoyed success in the Southwest Writers Monthly, bi-monthly, and quarterly contests, and has been published in its Sage magazine and in the Fixed and Free Poetry Anthology. Charles spends most of his time and energy working for justice and world peace. Please welcome Charles Powell.
Her questions. She says a lot with her questions. Probing questions, needling questions, puzzling questions, angering, inspiring questions. Questions that dig at the core of your story, your life, your very soul. Questions that annoy, tease, irritate, and pester. Questions that perplex, confuse, and entangle. Questions that disturb, provoke, and enrage. Questions that motivate, enhance, and excite. Her questions uncover your writings, dreams, emotions, expose your skills and knowledge. Her questions teach much about the world, what makes it tick, and how it's perceived. Her questions cause pondering, searching, and deliberating. Her questions lead to passion, enlightenment, growth, and fulfillment. Her questions reveal plenty about her concerns, her mind, her heart. She says a lot with her questions. Crying Man. I am a 6'2", 175-pound male Homo sapien, but I cry. I am an adult, lady-loving, meat-eating, real man, but I cry. I'm a former U.S. airman, boxer, and survivor of Chicago streets, but I cry. I'm an opinionated, dedicated social activist known to stand up for peace and justice, but I cry. I am healthy, well-fed, well-dressed, and sheltered, with lots of friends and admirers. Still, I cry. I cry when I'm discouraged. I cry when I'm depressed. I cry when disappointed, lonely, angry, ashamed, afraid, or in pain. But I also cry when I'm happy, exhilarated, victorious, proud, or in love. Sometimes I shake, shudder, and tremble with dry eyes. Other times I'm hoarse, with nose running and eyes filled with silent tears. Yet other times I openly weep, wail, bawl like a baby. Sad news can make me cry. Also sad people, sad songs, stories, movies, poems. But so can good news, happy stories, and fun songs, movies, poems, and people. I cry for refugees. I cry for migrants. I cry for the victims of war, crime, prejudice, and hate. I cry for the sick. I cry for the poor. I cry for the casualties of fires, storms, floods, and earthquakes. Deaths make me cry. So do births, graduations, and weddings. Kindness makes me cry. So does rudeness, selfishness, greed, and apathy. I should have cried when my daughter survived premature birth and weighed just 2 pounds, 1 ounce. I could have cried when I was sentenced to serve 5 days in the Deadwood, South Dakota jail. I did cry when I remained alive to be released from that Deadwood jail. And I did cry when my wonderful daughter found and married an extraordinary man. I cry for asylum seekers, dreamers, and other immigrants. I cry for the hungry, the addicted, and the homeless. I even cry for those that don't cry, can't cry, don't want to cry, and most of all, for those poor souls who see no reason to cry.
Thank you, Charles. When I first moved to Albuquerque, I lived in the neighborhood of this library. The university moved me here, and I had 3 days to find a place, and I had a 10-year-old dog. So the only place I could find that would take me in 3 days so that the moving van did not put my things in storage was near here. And I know the beauty of having the mountains in the background and the sunset on the other side. And that's a wonderful thing about living in this neighborhood in Albuquerque. So I'm going to read a few poems today as well. Father's Day. I heard a man whistle a strong tune in a parking lot. My dad whistled so much, Whistle was his nickname. Funny how you can hate your dad so intensely, you plot ways to kill him just prior to falling into adolescent sleep. Yet you love your dad so much that a decade after his death, your impulse is to run to a whistling stranger. In addition to being a poet, I am a blues DJ. I have been for about 25 years. So this poem is about that experience. Are you out there in the stealth night on the edge of blue, listening? Are you loving me for sending you this fix of heartbreak, slid down metal, taut and wound, electric? Are you? Are you dancing with the spirits of those who left us 40, 50, 60, 80 years ago? Dancing in a juke joint in RL's living room? Are you in the field picking cotton in the broiling sun, wishing for shade, any shade, a toothpick, anything? Can you feel it? The sweat, the thirst, blur between slave and sharecropper, slave and chain gang. Can you? Are you out there in the stealth night, listening, understanding, coming closer in, becoming, blues surging through? I always like to end with a little bit of hope. And so my last poem is, I will smoke again before I die, but it will not be tobacco in my pipe. No, it will be old hurts consumed, ascending, wisping out into the ethers. It will be all those judgments of who and what was good for me in life, who and what was bad. It will be all those times I clung to people, places, and things, all those times I wearied and wanted to let go but couldn't. It will be every useless worry that never came to pass. It will be every quiet sadness, every disappointment, every insult, every shock, every hard cry. It will be all those false politenesses, all those heavy pressures to repress truths will reduce to ash and blow away. Gone all posturing and strutting, just to cover up the toxic shame infection. I will burn that shame to cinder too. My pipe will be fueled by all those barriers that kept me so long from loving this and that about myself. I will burn off all blaming, all projections. I will burn off all the anger and armor that came from dreaming myself small or in danger. I will burn away excesses, misinformation, medication, illusions, expectations. I will leave this life lean and burned pure to the core, taking with me only what I brought, leaving behind a simple one-syllable kiss that the face of the world will know only as love. And now I'd like to introduce Cheryl Muggleson. She is the youth librarian here at the Lomas Tramway Library, and she has brought her friend, Madam Zelda.
Good afternoon. My name is Cheryl Muggleston. I'm the youth librarian at the Lomas Tramway Library, and this is Madam Zelda. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Lomas Tramway Library. The Lomas Tramway Library was built in 1987 and had an extensive renovation in 2010. It was the 11th library in this library system, and in the past we have had many programs including book club for adults, a knitting club for adults. We've had story times for all ages featuring Madam Zelda, and we have had Read to the Dogs where children can read to therapy dogs. We have 9 pieces of public art throughout the library that was part of the City of Albuquerque's public art program. And one of our features is a sculpture by May Green in the middle of the library that's called The Colorful Cloud. And we have also had a giant gorilla on the north side of the library that was called Armstrong the Gorilla, and it was made of recycled tires. And that sculpture has since been moved to the city's solid waste department. So hopefully in the future we will restart our programs, including Madam Zelda. I hope we start programs again someday. And hopefully everybody will come and visit the Lomas Tramway Library. Thank you.
Thank you, Cheryl. That was wonderful. And now we move to the Community Poets segment of the event today at the Lomas Tramway Library. And these are poets who live in the vicinity of the library who are going to share with us their poetry today. The first is James Baker. He is a Delta blues singer and guitarist who has played all over the U.S. for 50 years. He sings the old blues of Robert Johnson and Muddy Waters and writes his own blues. He also writes poetry and short stories. His poem, Ground Zero, is a melancholy reflection on his time spent in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and was a runner-up in a poetry contest in Las Cruces in 2018. Please welcome James Baker.
I throw 2 coins into the fountain, one for you, one for me. With a fervent prayer, an image of your hair. For myself, not much to see. At this moment, on this day, the clouds slowly closing on the mountain, my spirit lies old and bent and damaged like this preposterous fountain. Planted for what purpose? What reason in this far-flung desert sand? To cheer some flattened, haunted soul? Not mine, however planned. In the library next door, words of war, books of history, myth, poetry, the story of hunger and inevitable death, the millions ground by poverty. My own battles with this implacable foe have left me washed up here. My friends are labor, cold exhaustion, a sharp and stabbing fear. I thought I'd be relieved, elated, to finally get my pay. But the struggle leaves me old and tired, my skin sagging, my hair gray. I wandered too long in the mountains, saw not the passage of time. I faced the gale and stormed by hail. I forgot about the climb. So nothing is left but to cast my coins into this impossible fountain in this forlorn desert military town by this lost and unknown mountain.
So now we're bringing the community poet segment indoors. And our first community poet for this segment is Melissa Rios. And Melissa is a local singer-songwriter with a bachelor's degree in music from the University of New Mexico. She performs locally and was recently accepted into the Artist in Residence program, Chateau de Orquevaux, set for spring 2022 in France. This is her first time reading her poetry publicly. She will be releasing a book of her poetry and songs in summer 2021 titled Bitter Sweetness. Please welcome Melissa Rios.
So my poem is called Moving Mountains. Rain really can move mountains. The title made me stop to read the article attached, half out of curiosity, half out of dubiety. Can one droplet truly move the unmovable? What an absurd thought. But rain is persistent. Just like the ache that I cannot locate within, it comes back day after day, darkening the skies, terrifyingly beautiful, dressed in gray, chipping away at that stubborn mountain, the unassuming sculptor, master of marble, but also of soft clay, showing its teeth when challenged, never shying away. Soaking and exhilarating, you have the power to make the unmade, as the good book clearly states, and, as fate would have it, a pedagogue as well. Of course rain can move mountains, the sum of the parts, unhurried chisel creating perfect works of art.
Thank you, Melissa. Okay, so our next community poet is Christa Keller. Christa is a licensed spiritual practitioner, a longtime accredited teacher of Tai Chi Cha, and a visual artist who has recently been inspired to write poetry as she deepens her spiritual practice. This is Christa's debut as a poet reading to the public. Please welcome Christa Keller.
Hi, I was motivated to write this when President Trump came to visit New Mexico in September of 2019, and it goes like this. The life force is 45. The life force is 45 visiting New Mexico. 45 thinking he is in Mexico being the boss of us, while he's not realizing that he really is one of us, making us as great as we already are. We are 45. The life force is working through 45. 45 reminds us of how deeply we must go into our very own goodness and self-reliance to get us through the night. 45 is the night sky that is lit up by the thunder and washed by the rain. 45, let the cat out of the bag. Now that that cat is out, we can get clear again. Let the cat run right off the flat earth, the edge of fake news. We can be grateful to 45 for bringing the absolute truth to what is real to the surface. We are invited to stand up, speak up, take action, be the truth of compassion in action in every moment of our lives this day forward. We are New Mexican Americans. Most of all, we are all humans who know we are all connected and we stand for one love, only love, love all. I am grateful to be called to stand up with a voice. This is my choice.
Thank you, Christa. That was quite the twist. All right. Our final community poet is Dino de Leyva, who was raised in Albuquerque's beautiful North Valley. His mother was a songwriter who encouraged him at an early age. Their frequent visits to the local library and storytelling hour was the beginning of his interest in writing, poetry, and composing song. Dino is a member of Southwest Writers and is a board member of the New Mexico State Poetry Society. Please welcome Dino de Leyva.
Thank you so much. This is titled The Crown. From where is it that I come? The origins of my people. From behind the Venetian blinds covering the window, I look out upon the world and wonder. That place the history books say of conquistadores and the crown of Spain, the pomp and circumstance I have come to know. I wish the Venetian blinds could shield me from the pain of what my people have done. I see more clearly now, not separating myself from those who were here before us, pretending that my ancestors does not matter, the freedoms taken away. Even though I am not free from the crown of Spain I wear, I struggle to understand why my skin color makes me better, or why it frees me from the things done. I must not hide from the truth. My face I hide from behind the Venetian blinds, a shame I cannot erase. The Venetian blinds open now, exposing the truth of whom I was born to be.
Thank you, Dino. It was quite the variety we had today from the Lomas Tramway Library community poets. All of these poets live near the library, Lomas Tramway, and that concludes the feature for Lomas Tramway. Thank you so much for attending our Lomas Tramway Poets in the Libraries event. We really appreciate it. If you would like to participate public library event, Poets in the Libraries, at your community library, your neighborhood library, please write to ABQ Poet Laureate Program at gmail.com. Thank you so much.